more applause. So today, maybe we can start from both together with a high applause, and so they will be both happy. So have fun and rock the stage. Thank you.
Good. So final setup. Perfect. Okay, so thank you. Yeah, as already heard, we are Thomas and Ingo. We are both from SAP, from Waldorf. We're working there since I don't know how many years, and we're from the ABAP Platform. That means we're taking care for the ABAP development tools, so all around SEAD. I meant ABAP in Eclipse, sorry. ABAP in Eclipse is our main feature that we're taking care for. Today we are going one step further to yesterday. So yesterday in the code jam we looked a little bit what you have to do when you want to transform your set coding to S/4HANA. Now we're going even a step further. What this means for you when you want to transfer your set coding to the ABAP Cloud Platform. So you heard already today that there is a new offering from us that you can also do some kind of ABAP development now in the Cloud Platform. I think you heard this in the talk from Andre. What nice features do we have? So a completely new programming model where it is very easy now to develop Fiori-based applications. This is for sure when you start with a fresh idea, with a fresh application, very nice because you can all use these nice things. But in most of the cases, you want to use this offering because you already have some kind of coding. So that means you already have some kind of set developments that you want to take over to the cloud environment. Because we say the ABAP in the cloud has two main benefits. One is you as ABAP developer can reuse your skills. It means you don't have to learn something new because it's still ABAP. And the second one is that you can also bring some developments that you did over the last 20 years in your on-premise system, that you can take over this kind of stuff to the cloud platform itself. So yeah, what you have to know here is okay that you cannot even just copy and paste all the coding from your ERP system towards the cloud platform. That's for sure. I think that's clear. Sometimes you hear this from some sales guys, I don't know, flying somewhere 10,000 meters above the earth. They think, okay, just copy this to the cloud and then you don't have any kind of issues anymore with your set coding. That's not possible for sure. So the first thing that you have to think about is, okay, which kind of custom code is it that you can take over to S/4HANA, to cloud platform? So for example, when you think about you're having your nice VHO0 transaction and you have integrated some additional fields on the tables and you have implemented a body that is doing some additional stuff during the transaction, maybe this is not the best candidate to take this kind of logic into the cloud platform because it's really strongly coupled with the core ERP application. So it does not make sense now to jump to the cloud platform, doing some calculation there and jumping back. So this is maybe not something, a good use case. But there are a lot of use cases where you, for example, have developed some kind of process which is before or after a core process. So you're doing something and then you press save and then the core process of the ERP starts, such kind of things. Or you're doing some kind of a post-processing. So the ERP process is executed and then afterwards you're doing some additional stuff. So these are then use cases where you can think about to provide these kind of things then in a cloud offering. Or there are use cases where you say you have some external guys working on your ERP system because you have some nice transactions where they have to enter some data. And you don't want to have this, you want to have that these guys are working on a separate system. Maybe also on a cloud or a mobile application, things like that. So then this is also a very nice use case where you can think about to push this application towards the cloud platform. So this is the first thing that you have to think about. Okay, what kind of coding is it that I can bring to the cloud platform? Then the next thing is, which is also very important, so you know that, for example, these kind of things, I know I want to port now to cloud platform. But then you also have to know, okay, what kind of things is it really? So for example, you know, okay, this is a transaction. Maybe this transaction has a report has some classes. And this class also has some kind of data elements. So all these things you have to take over to the cloud platform, because otherwise you get syntax errors, or the program is not running. So it's also not that easy to find out what is now the bracket around all these objects that you have to take over to the cloud platform. Making just a class without the persistence table does not make sense. So you need all the kind of dependencies between the objects to know which objects you take over to S4, to the cloud platform. So once you did that, so I just want to start my slides show. So we decided not to do some kind of a slide, therefore everything is part of Eclipse. So the first thing that you have to know, that is a side-by-side model. So it's not like a select on a Mara, things like this is not possible. Why is this not possible? For sure, because it's like here. So let's assume Ingo is S4 system and I'm the cloud platform. And I want to have some data from Ingo. What I have to do? I have to ask him. Right? So communication is very important. Ingo, give me the data of the materials. This is something that you need in that kind of. It's not just that I take the data out of him. Exactly what Gregor said. So APIs are very essential in that case because you need the data. Replicating all the business suite data towards cloud platform is also ridiculous. So you need really APIs to get the data. So this the first very important point. So such accesses that you have in your custom code are not possible in cloud platform. So you have to replace these kind of things via an API call to get the data out of the ERP or S/4HANA system. So it's the first thing. Next thing, Fiori only. This you've seen already in the talk of Andre. So whenever you have something in the code where you submit a report or you call a transaction, all these kind of things will not run in the cloud platform. Why? Because SAP-GUI is not available, WebDynpro is not supported, BSP is not supported, all these kind of things. Only developing with this new programming model is possible in the cloud platform. Then we took the chance now to really clean up the ABAP. You know, in ABAP we have a lot of redundancy in there, maybe a lot of statements that are doing exactly the same, because for 10 years we decided to offer some kind of a modern concept for these kind of things. And so we now took really the chance here to remove some of these things, so all these obsolete statements. Then we get a syntax error here. So you see this already? So this is now really integrated in the syntax error. It's not so like, okay, I have some code inspector checks and yeah, every Christmas I'm doing some code cleanup. This is not the case because here it's really not possible to use these kind of things. So this is also very essential that you know that these kind of things are not supported. And then last but not least, the most important stuff, you can only use released APIs in that system. So it's not like in the past, looking into the SE80, there's a nice function module, I'm just using that. Maybe it's using the correct things that I want to have. In that case, that's not possible. We only have a clear defined API, so released objects, and only these kind of things you can use in the cloud platform. When you want to use other things, you directly get a syntax error, like in that case. So all these nice data elements that are in the system, you cannot use anymore because we defined exactly one correct data element for one thing, like in that case. So these are all the things that you have to know when you want to transform your custom code. First, you have to know, okay, which code can be transformed, then you have to know which amount of custom code is necessary, and then you can take this over to the cloud platform and adapt it towards these rules that we have here. And this is now what we want to show in our demo here a little bit. And whenever we do these kind of things, yeah, we have to think about what kind of scenario we can do. So doing this with a hello world does not make sense. So we thought about what can we use here? Should we bring something completely new in the system? Then we say, oh, this anyhow does not make sense because, yeah, you know, we are both coming from the basis. So that means the only business process that we are really knowing is
S-Flight.
S-Flight, correct. So the only thing that we can provide is something around the flight model.
But you should change to the enterprise procurement model.
Yeah, this was some kind of Umweg. Now we are back in the flight world. Then we thought about, okay, maybe we're just re-implementing the full S-flight model just with the new things in the cloud platform, which I think only does not make sense. So we thought about, okay, maybe we can have some kind of a cool extension scenario to the flight model. And then by accident, Ingo and myself, we were on our flight to sit. No, it was a code jam in Wrocław, in Poland. And we thought about, oh, Ingo, what can we do about it? And then we go into the plane, and then Ingo had that flyer on his chair. And it was only that one, so no one had this, only Ingo had that. And we said, oh, this is maybe a sign. This is maybe a sign to the idea, what can we do? Because maybe you can imagine, I'm not sure whether you can read this. So this is a typical evaluation stuff. So after a flight, you get this thing then here, and then you can rate the flight. Was the flight okay? Was the meal okay? And things like that. So this you can do. And we are now doing exactly the same for the flight model. And we're doing this, so let's go 20 years back, let's say. So we thought about, okay, how can we do this? So yeah, typically you do this on a manual way. That means the flight attendant gives every flight passenger such a thing, and then you have to put this manually on some kind of with paper and with a pen. You put this, okay, meal was okay, flight is blah blah blah, is okay, and then you give it back to the flight attendant. Okay, and then she collects that and gives it to some kind of administrator in the airline, and he puts this in a nice sub-GUI-based transaction, right? This is how we will develop these kind of things in the past. That means, so after the flight, you get these kind of things here, go in that nice transaction. So what you're doing, you're entering here, Lufthansa 400, date was this here. So you go in there, then you see all the passengers, and then you go here and can vote then the flight from Mr. what have you, here, this Adam, and then you can enter the data. So this is really a nice transaction, but only used, so it's from the business process a little bit cumbersome. So first you have to do some manual stuff, and then some other guys puts this into the transaction. Why? Because for sure we do not want to have that some of these flight passengers are entering this data directly into our ERP system. So that's not a good idea. So this was in the past. And now we heard that there is some new technology with the cloud. And so we said, maybe we can use this application and put this really in a cloud way. That means that really the passengers can use a mobile application and enter the data directly in that. And then via some kind of a communication, the data is passed back to the ERP system. So this is the idea that we had. For sure, we also had some nice dashboards built here with the ALV technology. So these kind of things, for sure, we also want to have in the new world. And this is now where Ingo takes over, because he knows all these new technologies, and he wants to show now how, on the one hand side, we define which of the coding we took over from the old ERP towards the new, and how we can use that then to build a new UI on top of these kind of things.
Okay, so you are next of all. So you are the old gray-haired developer, and I'm the young, new, no-hair developer. So because I have to run a lot of demos here, I will sit down. Okay, so first of all, what we want to do is here that we want to bring our coding to the ABAP in the cloud system. Maybe you just joined the code jam yesterday, so there's a nice transaction. Also, maybe Andre mentioned the ABAP Git transaction to bring our old coding, exactly that what we have here, to a Git repo, so that we are able to pull that data into our ABAP in the cloud system. Okay. So first of all, starting here the transaction. No. So we have a lot of repos inside here, yeah, where we just have one of this, where is it? Flight evaluation, yeah, that's what Thomas just said, yeah, in our system, and we just push that to a GitHub repository. No? So that's the first one. So we can also navigate into inside that repo to see the data inside there. That's how it looks like. Okay, so that's the first step that you basically do. Then, to maybe also get an impression of our coding that we have, how much things we have to do, if it fits to also the new programming model by means of having this whitelist checks, because some function modules we are not allowed, we are using data types, like reports that are not allowed in the cloud anymore, and all this kind of stuff, you want to get an overview about that. And for this scenario, we also have a Fiori app developed. We also use this Fiori application to transform custom code. The session we had, the code jam session we had yesterday, to also analyze or use this app to analyze our coding also against the ABAP in the cloud scenario. And for that, you see here that we also have here some S4 code analysis done. So we will create a new project. Let's call it sitPOTT demo. We have now the opportunity to say, hey, we want to now to check our coding against the sub-cloud platform ABAP environment, with this check variant. And of course, we still have to define or choose our backend system. That's exactly the system Thomas showed you, this S55. With that, that's all. Now we press the save button. And as usual, we're loading data objects from the remote system. Maybe if it's fast enough, we see that. We're loading objects or our source code to analyze. After this will be done and finished, we're also doing some reference calculation, because we won't see in a second that we also, if we just take some stuff into or over to the cloud platform, that we also need to kind of have the references, reuse libraries, classes, whatever, needs also to be migrated then later on to the cloud platform. So this will take some seconds. The analysis of the coding is still happening or ongoing, but nevertheless, because we are already ready for scoping here, we can now navigate into the scope, and you see that nothing is scoped, because no data is in there. We just did not a kind of default scoping as we did, or as we do basically for the S4 conversion. We have this usage analysis basically done, and all the objects that are executed, of course, needs to go over to S4 from a custom code perspective. So if we now navigate into the packages here, we see that our flight evaluation, that's the one that our transactions rely on, our tables, data elements, all the domains, whatever, are in this kind of package. So we can also navigate and see what kind of data is in there. You have to go there, here, classes. There's also a CDS view inside, a detail, and so on and so on. All the stuff that is inside this kind of package. So if I now say, hey, this is my scenario that I want to bring over to the cloud platform, we just say add to scope. So what happens is that we are calculating also the references, and all the dependencies will also be taken into account. And will be migrated later on then to the cloud platform. Of course, if I could remove that again, this object, they also see that all the dependencies get rid. So we'll also do this again. So here, show nice music, and then
yeah, we should add some music.
Okay. So that's basically how you do that. And then the step, if all the scoping would be done, we also see, hey, now we are finished also with the calculation of the ATC checks. Then navigate over to this analysis part. We will see, of course, all the findings that we have in all the source code. And also we only want to focus now on the package that we are transferring. So all this ZF stuff from the flight evaluation. So we only concentrate now on the findings here for this package, because all the others are not interested. We are not interested in only the stuff here. And then you see what kind of issues do we have. For example, the program, test restricted language scope. We cannot bring over this report to the ABAP system. It's not supported there, not a supported object type, and that's it. Of course, we also have some other stuff. Syntax error in the restricted language scope. You can also directly navigate now from the app directly in the source code in the S55 system, to see where we have some issues. Or if we just go to the class here, this flight evaluation whitelist basis API, directly navigate there, and so you just have an overview, first preview, what is the syntax behind that, what is the issue, have a first glance on the coding here. And by that, yeah, you can go through that and see, hey, there's also whitelist check, for example, yeah. Just used here some stuff that is not whitelisted, you know, by this constant here. And so that's how it works, yeah, this OTR text. So going back to our project, what needs to be done, what is still under development from our side, from my side, is that we save now the scope as a transport request. And of course it would be nice, and we are currently working on that. Yeah, if you save the transport request, that we just create a Git repo out of that one, yeah, directly, and we can take that repo and pull it then into the ABAP in the cloud system. Currently it is not working, yeah, so we need still to have this way over the GitHub account. So that's why we just have this set ABAP Git transaction to bring over that up. But it's in our backlog, yeah, we are working on that to bring also the the objects directly over into Git repo out of this Fiori application. Okay, so that's this part with the Fiori app. Did I miss something, Thomas? No.
No.
Good. Then let's go over and.
You can show again this with this scoping. No.
I clicked the wrong Eclipse version here, so sorry about that. Damn. Just want to go over here. So basically then what we need to do is to open the ABAP Git repository view in Eclipse. Yeah. And what we now do is we already pushed our stuff into the GitHub account that we are now pulling this repo into the Steampunk system. That's exactly this link here. Say next. Yeah, then our package is ZF whatever. No, that's the wrong one. Flight evaluation. ZF. Flight evaluation. So we are just now pulling all the stuff into this Git repo. Import it. Say pull. Then will take some seconds. If we refresh also, we next. We're also seeing what kind of classes and stuff is imported. If we do a refresh here, yeah, so 3 of 7 are now imported. Of course, we already had some more objects in our Git repository here, so the programs are not imported here. And we also see we have a report, yeah, show object log. Yeah, so we see there, hey, the reports are not there. Yeah, so they are not migrated over to our ABAP in Steampunk, ABAP in SAP CP system because they are not supported. Yeah, so that's that. With that, we are now have this all the objects inside our ABAP package. Of course, we still have to activate all the stuff. Yeah.
But does it mean you have no jobs or no job possibility inside of the ABAP platform?
No, you have, but this is implemented differently.
Yeah.
As a new framework.
So all the reports we have, we need to transform to something else.
Correct.
Yes. But there is a Fiori functionality, so an admin UI to create jobs, yeah, which is more or less also doing then this SM37 jobs.
Because we plan jobs automatically inside from tool.
There is
to convert and
yeah.
to implement it again.
Yeah. So again, there's a Fiori application available to exactly do that for you.
Which converts our programs to something.
No, you have to implement a class, and this class is executed more or less. It's called then inside this job management tool, yeah, and all the stuff that you do inside that class then is executed.
And all the places in code, I need to replace it to the class.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, then let's activate our classes or our objects here, and we will see that we receive in a second an activation error, yeah, because we still violate against the whitelist check, yeah, and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, we'll activate it, and hopefully we get some error messages. No, we don't see anything messages here, but nevertheless, if I just go inside the source code, for example, here we see that something is wrong here. Yeah, for example, now is the syntax check happening. Yeah, so move is not allowed, so we are just violating against the ABAP language version here. Yeah, this kind of ABAP statements are not supported anymore here. Good. That's this step. And now what we are doing here to get the help again of the ABAP in Eclipse tooling, yeah, to resolve some of the issues here, we run an ATC check, the same that we do for the S4HANA conversion, right, the same, but with a different variant, not the S4 variant. We are just using here the sub-CP readiness check variant. We're also doing this here, will take some seconds, and all the source code inside my package is checked. And again, we are having the same issues reported now that we also saw in the Fiori app. Now it's again here as a developer scenario, and that, oops, I was doing this wrong, same here. If I now go again to my findings tab, say here recommended quick fixes, we just also get an overview and the help, quick fixes displayed from the tooling. So what could be directly converted from the old implementation to the new one, the steampunk-like or the ABAP and sub-CP-like version. For example, this helper class here, there are more findings in it. You can step here through the stuff, and see, hey, that the type Langu is not supported. You have to use now the Spraß data type. GUID is not. Go to SysUI, x16, and so on. ABAP as type Boolean is not supported. You have to use the ABAP Boolean. Type uname is not supported. You have to use the SU name. And these kind of stuff. You can go through that, and that's it. So that's how you basically do and convert with the help of ABAP in Eclipse your coding. Okay, saying that, the last step is, of course, we want to also have a nice Fiori UI on top of that. So, and now let's see, because Thomas just changed the core data service. Okay, it's a new one. Because he modified with his smartphone the source code in ABAP in the GitHub account,
Even if I'm a gray-hair developer.
Okay, so what we are doing here now is to take and create a so-called new service definition for our scenario. So because we want to have a nice Fiori UI, of course. So create a service definition here. Next, and finish. Save and activate this one. And on top of the service definition, so just get back to Andres' talk seconds ago. We also now have this, we know what we are doing here, so creating on top of the service definition a service binding. And the binding means that we just want to create a Fiori UI, so we are choosing the binding type of the data v2 UI binding type here. Save and activate that. And again, this is the CDS view from our S55 system. No coding was changed here. So activate the service again.
You have a question?
Okay, now it's done.
Now it's done. Okay, but if you have a question.
The question was the data definition. We have imported one CDS view.
Yeah.
But in the original flight, there was no CDS view. It is not in an old one.
In that case, this was also an old system.
Yeah, this was an old system.
So the ALV view that I had, this was also
exactly
based on the CDS view.
So this dashboard here,
Okay, so
this was
old.
this was an
Yeah, for us means old 750. This is for us old. 740 we cannot remember.
And 740 and 730 was already with web info. It was not with.
Okay, but again, this is an ALV grid, the IDA-ALF, so integrated data access ALV grid, so that really relies or takes the CDS view and renders the data here.
Okay, but if you have only table accesses, or for the table accesses, you need to define CDS views manually.
Yeah.
There is no generation, automatically generation as wrapping.
No. It's up to you how you design your business object. You have your persistency, all the data modeling behind that, like as normal S4 modeling.
So tables are still supported in the platform. So your own tables. You have
your own tables, you can.
So you can.
But if you create a CDS view, then it select from, you can use some insert all elements, so you don't have to type them everything.
Okay, but again, so the CDSU was in the S55 system, and the last step is here that we have this nice data preview here, yeah, opening this Fiori app, and hopefully if the things are working, then we would see some of the test data here. It's quite slow here.
Network issues.
Network issues. Okay, no data here because we do not specify any UI notations here, so we would have to do that. Yeah, so we just use it here, and now we have some test data that I just inserted it for this demo. What's missing here is to, of course, take over the data that we have in our old system, yeah. But that's currently not available, so we're also working on that to also migrate somehow the data from the old system into the ABAP SAP system. So we also need to find a solution here.
Or do even some replication, just
whatever, yeah, we're thinking about using some already available replication frameworks, bring that into the NetWeaver stack, so that we can rely on this kind of functionality to migrate also data over from the old system to the ABAP SAP system.
This UI5 application is just for testing
Yeah.
of the service.
Yeah.
So if I now would like to build such an application, I need to build it manually.
Yes, more or less, yes, manually, but what you see here is basically also done with this framework to have this nice application in this hub programming model that will exactly support this kind of application.
Is there some generator to generate UI5 application from?
We are using the Fiori elements paradigm here, where you have predefined patterns that you can just then attach to the CDSUs.
Yeah.
And then the UI is more or less.
But they need to design it. There's no generator to pre-generate something.
Yeah, so you have a first shot, yeah, so based on the CDS view, what I just did, yeah, and also what you as a developer have to specify are so-called UI annotations, because you need to render a little bit the UI. You see here all the ordering, so you need to model that as a developer. Yeah, but I would say so 75% is generic, yeah, and the rest of 25% you have to do some stuff by your own to modify the UI, to get folder tabs in here, yeah, so that you just display something, that there is some navigation to something else. So that is a developer task, I would say. Yeah. But for a first shot, I think this is quite good and is enough to see, hey, what you did there is working somehow.
and for the list report application you have a web ID wizard. So you get at least for a Fiori Elements application, you get then something which you can work further from.
But I need to take every application in scope, and every application should be created manually. So I need to define a lot of time. Create every application.
Well, I think it's quite easy to get a first glance on what you did or what you developed in regards to your data model, to the entity, to the business object. Yeah. So that's exactly the application that you just saw. This Fiori is built with this kind of technology. Yeah.
Another question: some applications you currently have in the normal NetWeaver are applications which are not RESTful, not they are session based. So I'm working the whole time in the same session, and this paradigm is not there now. So it means that some of the application I can migrate my code, and everything seems to be there, but it will not work.
That's right, yeah. You have to redesign then your application, so because it must be stateless. And so stateful sessions are not possible.
Will it be done somewhere, or is it?
No one said it was going to be easy.
Well, we have these kind of requirements, as we heard also from internally from our stakeholders, but currently there's you can't do that. Any other questions? something to mention additionally? No? So, back to you.
Perhaps just to the tooling, the Fiori apps that is delivered with S4HANA 1809 at the moment.
Yeah, but only for the S4 conversion use case with 1909, with that use case you just saw for the also for the sub-CP readiness.
But for that use case, it only makes sense to use the app in the cloud platform itself. So we also want to provide this app really as a software as a service, let's say, in the cloud platform itself.
In 1909.
Yeah.
This is our plan, yes.
Yeah. 1908. Cloud platform means 1908. Yeah. With that, thanks.
Thanks.